Imagine you work for a digital marketing firm specializing in personalized advertising campaigns. Your projects often involve processing a variety of personal data types. Given your firm's reliance on digital tools and platforms, under which circumstances would the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, be irrelevant to your data handling practices? What is correct? A. If the data your firm processes is solely in paper form and never digitized. B. If you anonymize personal data immediately upon collection. C. If the firm holds onto personal data without analyzing or using it further. D. If an employee processes personal data strictly for their own family's activities. Correct answer, Dexplanation, referencing GDPR's Article 6, which outlines the lawfulness of processing personal data. You've joined a multinational toy company as a data privacy officer. The company is excited about launching an innovative line of interactive toys that can communicate with children. These toys, equipped with connectivity features, leverage cloud computing for processing voice queries. Despite the forward-thinking design, the company's privacy policy hasn't been updated to reflect these changes. Considering GDPR requirements, what is the most significant privacy concern here? Correct answer, A. The ability of toys to potentially gather sensitive data without explicit consent. B. Lack of clarity on how personal data is processed and stored. C. The engagement of a cloud service provider in a non-GDPR compliant territory. D. The risk of unauthorized access to the toy's integrated technologies. Correct answer, B. Anna and Frank, colleagues at a prestigious university, are looking into improving student outcomes by analyzing performance data in relation to demographic trends. Frank, keen on data privacy, anonymizes student IDs for his analysis. However, before proceeding, they need to ensure GDPR compliance. What additional detail is crucial for Anna to determine if the project is permissible? A. Insights into the depth of Frank's data protection knowledge. The scope of data potentially lost due to Frank's laptop incident. C. The specifics of the anonymization technique used by Frank. D. Information on students' awareness and the intended use of their data. Correct answer, D. As a legal advisor for an EU-wide e-commerce platform, you're assessing the GDPR's influence on harmonizing data protection laws across member states. Which GDPR provision do you anticipate will most significantly promote uniform data protection practices? A. The introduction of a centralized regulatory body. B. The regulation's direct applicability across all EU member states. C. The requirement for immediate notification of data breaches. D. The obligation to appoint a data protection officer. Correct answer, B. In your role as a product manager at a toy company venturing into connected playthings, you're evaluating compliance with Article 32 of the GDPR, focusing on securing data processing. Which of the following actions aligns best with ensuring the security of the data involved in toy interactions? A. Implementing end-to-end encryption for data transmitted via Bluetooth. B. Requiring a two-step verification process before toys can be activated by children. C. Mandating a triple authentication process for the highest security level before usage. D. Establishing data handling protocols with the external data center handling toy interactions. Correct answer. Your company, renowned for its diverse toy products, is preparing to launch a range of connected toys designed for interactive play. Given the global distribution of these toys, including extensive marketing in the EU, under what condition is your company obliged to adhere to GDPR regulations? A. Having corporate offices within the EU. B. Employment of personnel situated in the EU. C. Data processing within a non-EU country. D. Direct marketing efforts aimed at EU consumers. Correct answer, D. As the compliance officer in a company that outsources data processing, you discover that the processor has been making independent decisions about the data processing methods. According to GDPR, what's the implication of this action? A. The controller faces potential fines for the processor's actions. B. The processor must compensate any data subjects adversely affected, as the processor is deemed a controller for the purposes of the data involved. D. The controller must prove the processor's actions harmed the data subjects. Correct answer, C. After switching insurance providers, a customer requests the transfer of his personal data from his old insurer to the new one, invoking his GDPR rights. However, his old insurer sends the data in a non-interoperable format and refuses direct transfer, claiming technical infeasibility. What does this situation imply about the old insurer's obligations under the GDPR? There's no obligation to transfer if technically infeasible. B. Data portability rights don't apply to public interest tasks. C. The insurer didn't fulfill its duty to facilitate data transfer. D. The insurer must develop interoperable formats for data transfer. Answer, C. A data processing company decides to use client data for a purpose not initially agreed upon with the data controller. This unilateral decision raises questions about liability and regulatory compliance. What is the consequence of such an action under GDPR? A. The controller faces penalties for non-compliance. B. The processor must compensate affected individuals. E.c. The processor is treated as a controller for that specific processing. D. The controller must prove the processing harmed the parties involved. Answer, C. Collaborative project at a university. Two colleagues, a data protection officer and an academic researcher, are evaluating student performance against national education standards. The researcher has developed a novel method of anonymizing student IDs for his study, but plans to transfer the data to his personal, unencrypted laptop for analysis. Before approving this study, what additional information does the data protection officer require? A. Details on the researcher's data protection training. B. The scope of data loss in case of a breach. C. The anonymization technique used on student IDs. D. How students have been informed about the study and its use of their data. Answer, D. A healthcare app developer based outside the EU offers a platform that monitors users' health data, including heart rate, physical activity, and sleep patterns. The app provides personalized health advice based on the data collected. It uses an algorithm to predict potential health issues, which involves transferring data to a third-party analytics service located in a country without an adequacy decision from the European Commission. What GDPR requirement is most critical for the app developer to comply with before transferring personal health data to the third-party analytics service? A. Ensuring that the third-party service has an EU representative, given the sensitive nature of the data. B. Conducting a data protection impact assessment, DPIA, to evaluate the risks associated with the data transfer. C. Implementing supplementary measures to ensure the level of data protection meets EU standards, given the lack of an adequacy decision. D. Obtaining explicit consent from users for each specific instance of data transfer, highlighting the international aspect of the transfer. Answer, C. A European online retailer uses a new customer relationship management (CRM) tool to store and analyze customer data for marketing purposes. The CRM tool utilizes machine learning algorithms to segment customers into different groups based on their purchasing behavior and preferences. To enhance the accuracy of its predictions, the retailer plans to enrich its dataset by purchasing additional customer data from a third-party data broker. Before proceeding with this plan, what GDPR compliance issue should the retailer first address? A. The accuracy of the data obtained from the data broker, as inaccurate data could lead to incorrect customer profiling. B. The legal basis for processing the purchased data, especially considering the consent mechanism used by the data broker. C. The data minimization principle, ensuring that only the necessary data for the intended processing purpose is collected. D. The implementation of appropriate technical and organizational measures to secure the data, considering the increased risk from data enrichment. Answer, B.